are live on YouTube, so we'll start the meeting and they'll take care of everything after the fact.
Okay, great. Good evening, or good afternoon. I'd like to call the Tuesday, November 17th meeting of the Moorhead Public Service Commission to order. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Issues with the access channel right now. We are live on YouTube, so we'll start the meeting and they'll
Or
take care
not.
of everything after the fact.
So moved.
Daily second.
Okay, great. So I have a motion by Paulson and seconded by Daley to approve the agenda. We have to do a roll call vote, so Paulson.
Aye.
I need a motion to Duran, the agenda.
Issues with the access channel.
Yes.
Right now, we are live.
Sebastian,
Yep.
Mary,
Yes.
So moved.
Thompson, yes.
Daily second.
Okay, we've had the, and seconded by Daley to approve the agenda. The agenda's been approved, so, Paulson. I need a,
Yeah.
Aye.
we're getting a lot of echo here, so
Yes.
it's really odd. Sebastian,
Yep.
Mary,
Yes.
So moved.
Thompson, yes.
Daily second.
Okay, we've had the, and seconded by Daley to approve the agenda. The agenda's been approved, so, Paulson. I need a,
Yeah.
Aye.
we're getting a lot of echo here, so it's really odd. Sebastian,
Yep.
Mary,
Yes.
Thompson, yes. Okay, we've had the,
Yeah, do another test, Chris.
agenda's been
Yes.
approved.
Test. It's okay now.
So go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. I now need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
And so moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by, did you say, was it Duran? Yes. Okay, motion by Duran, seconded by McDougal to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Thompson, yes. I now need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Daley,
And so moved. Yes.
McDougal.
Yes.
Motion by Duran. Was it Duran? Okay, motion by Duran, seconded by McDougal to approve the consent agenda.
Yes.
Great. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Thompson, yes. I now need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Daley,
Yes.
McDougal,
Yes.
Yeah.
Duran. Okay, motion by Duran, Paulson, by McDougal to approve the consent agenda. I can't.
Yes.
Any discussion?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just, I think it's the delay from the live stream. Hold on one second.
Yeah. We're gonna pause for a moment here.
Yes.
I can't.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just, I think it's the delay from the live stream. Hold on one second.
Yeah. Item number 6, customers to be heard. No customers to be heard today. Recognitions? Mr. Schmidt?
None at this time.
Okay, thank you. Item number 7, old business. Anybody have any old business that they'd like to bring to the fore? Okay, seeing and hearing none, I'll move on to reports, city council update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have 3 items. First, I just wanted to remind folks that we are in the process of our search for a new city manager. And in fact, we're interviewing candidates, our 2 finalists this week. Because of new COVID restrictions, those will take place virtually. I believe there's 2 tomorrow, or meetings with both candidates tomorrow. I believe those are, you can, they'll be available through video, and we do encourage commissioners and staff and citizens to give us your input. We also are working on our 2021 budget, and I believe it's on December 14th, we'll present that at our council meeting. And I want to thank Travis for taking part in that budget planning process. Really appreciate that. And then lastly, we met last Friday to canvass the results of the election. And in January, we will have 2 new council members and 2 returning council members. And sadly, we'll be saying goodbye to our council members Durand and Watson Curry. So expect a smooth transition though. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Public Service Commission? Any meetings? Okay, we're ready for the general manager's report.
Sure.
Mr. Schmidt.
Sure. I've got several items this evening to discuss. The first item, we have our third quarter strategic plan updates. At the end of every quarter, we have staff put together a memo to me, and from that I select items that staff is currently working on, has completed, or is still in the process of finalizing items on that as well. So, and they all tie into our strategic, our 5 strategic directions. If you want to look at those, they're in the general manager's report as well. They also provide a dashboard as well as to how the electric and water utility did. There's also financial and HR items in there as well. That shows how the third quarter went for 2020. A good note, we've had really good water. The hardness on the water has been below normal, so that has helped us with our chemical costs over the third quarter as well, and into the fourth quarter as well. A major item of good news, I was made aware of this in late September. We were asked by Missouri River to hold off communicating it to our full council until it was at their virtual area meetings, which was in late October. But Moorhead Public Service will be receiving a refund from Missouri River of $1.25 million and some change. I did talk with the budget committee as we were going through our budget process on what to do with those funds. We have talked about putting those into reserves to help with future capital projects, more specifically probably the AMI project, or the Automated Meter Infrastructure Project. That's an $8 million project, and would help minimize with what we were going to do with AMI is we were going to use reserves to pay for that project. And you know, by doing that now with the additional funds we received from Missouri River, or back from Missouri River, that'll help minimize rate impacts into the future as well. So that's the thought process there. If there's any questions on that, I can answer those as well at this point in time.
Are there any questions about that? Okay.
Yeah, there is a letter with that it's attached to the general manager report in regards to that. The time period was, if I remember right, August of 19 through July of 20 was the time frame that they looked at from the MRES Finance Committee's period of the refund. We did look at a few other options with that as well, but it was just the easiest way to utilize those funds was to put them into reserves for the time being and utilize them at a future date. Another letter that came from Missouri River as well was their time of use wholesale rates. In 2023, they will be providing wholesale rates of time of use to all the members of Missouri River. So that's the power we get from Missouri River will be on a time of use rate basis. And those rates will be, it's really going to be non-impacting. At this point, it's a 0.2% rate increase in 2023 that we'll see, which is roughly about $28,000 if none of our power use changes from 19 to then. It could go up, it could go down. We'll, from there, just based on growth or loss of businesses due to COVID-19 going on. You know, again, that right now, the way things are working, we would have to upgrade our meter system to an AMI system if we wanted to provide retail time of use rates to our customers. And we'll be working with Missouri River staff to look at that as well and how that will look going into the future. Currently, they're looking at 3 rates from a wholesale perspective. They're going to have an on-peak rate, a mid-peak rate, and an off-peak rate. So typically looking at a 2 to 3 hour window for on-peak, maybe up to 4. And then a mid-peak rate would probably be from like 7 in the morning till probably 2, 3 in the afternoon. And then off-peak would probably be from 8 p.m. till to 6, 7 in the morning. So that's kind of their thought process and how they're going to manage that. And we'll be continuing to bring more up on that as well too. There's not a lot of costs tied to time of use right now. It's not going to be a huge impact to the overall budget if they're only going to have a 0.2% rate increase. But there are other possibilities that we can have with AMI as well too. And one of those would be more information based on outages or more customer information. During outages, we'll be able to give more information to the customers. So that's, if you're going to spend $8 million on a metering system, it's probably not worth it for $28,000 a year. But there are other pieces of information that we could pull from that AMI system that would be beneficial to the overall city. And that's all I have on that. Is there any other questions on that one? Looks like Deb has a question.
Go ahead, Deb.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I noticed in the material, it looked like they're going to be doing some public some presentations. Would that be something that they would come and or present to us some additional information just to provide more awareness of the process and how we might benefit from it?
Correct. Yep. Excuse me. They've got a timeline basically starting in October of this year, going through the next 3 years. They're going to do some pilots. They're going to make sure they're preparing everything. And yes, they should be communicating with all their members as well. I would guess it'll be either virtually or in a public forum as well to the commission on how that works. And then staff will on the backside be working with Missouri River as well to figure out if we want to do the retail side of things and how that works as well. There is a benefit to it if you do the time of use. If you're using more during the on-peak periods of the day, it's going to cost those customers more than those that aren't using it. So there is a benefit to time of use rates as well for the customers. Any other questions? Okay. There is another article. The Forum published an article on Xcel Energy filing for a rate increase in North Dakota. As we talked about at some of our previous meetings, trying to be competitive with rates is important for Moorhead Public Service in the city of Moorhead. And with this rate increase, they're our biggest opponent to getting businesses in Moorhead. And we provided a 5% and a 10% rate increase adjustment based on what was in the article. And we can get, become very competitive if they do the 10%. For the most part, we are, the only one that would be is a small general services where we would be below Xcel yet, but we're very close with the 5 and 10%. So makes us a lot more competitive for getting more businesses in Moorhead as well. Other than that, I'm going to have Mark Moylanen come up at this point in time and talk about the collections due to COVID-19, providing his monthly update or briefing on where we're at and what we're doing.
Thank you, Travis.
Put your mic.
Thank you, Travis. Mark Moylanen, Controller, Moorhead Public Service. Just a quick update on how we're doing. We're still continuing to see about the same number of accounts that are past due every month. We're still roughly around 16.4% at the end of October, which is very comparable to where we were back in February. We are seeing the balances still remain relatively high. In October, the customer service staff and I actually we did about 750 personal phone calls to customers that were past due to let them know about different agency options that are available, as well as the state of Minnesota's COVID assistance fund. And so we did have pretty good success with that. About the only negative we found was about 30% of our customers had phone numbers that were either inactive or blocked or they've been changed. So, you know, of 750 calls, we had quite a few that we weren't able to have success on. So what we decided to do as a next step is we put together a flyer or a little statement insert, and I have a copy here that I'm just holding up briefly. And what it will include is all the 3 local assistance agencies or 3 assistance programs that are currently available, to include the COVID-19 Housing Assistance Program from the state of Minnesota. It gives the phone number, a website. You can also text your information to the phone number and they'll get back to you. We also have West Central Minnesota Communities Actions, which provides assistance for electric and heating. And then our local Lakes and Prairies Community Action, who also can help with another subset of customers that need assistance that are beyond West Central. The West Central Community Actions office has opened up, and they are generating and sending funds. They started in early November. To date, we've received about $30,000 worth of funds for customers, and that has been applied to their past due electric balances. The COVID-19 Housing Assistance Program is about 2 weeks behind, so the calls that we made in October, late October, we're starting to see some of the payments trickle in, but we do know that the process is kind of lengthy for them. It takes 2 to 3 weeks to get to the applications and then do their processing. I did actually have to call a customer or on behalf of a customer today and speak to a rep, and they're still pushing that they have a 2 to 3 week delay in getting to the applications once they've started. So that's what we have right now, and then just a reminder that the statement stuffers will be going out starting, I believe, today or tomorrow, and going out for the next 30 days so that every customer will at least receive a copy and have the information available to them so they can contact any of these agencies if they're having or would like to look at the assistance options.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that is that, you know, staff has done a great job of trying to make those personal contacts. You know, it wasn't as penetrating as we were hoping it would be, but they were able to connect with some. If you are seeing a phone call from Moorhead Public Service, it's us trying to help get you the assistance you might need. So, you know, pick up the phone, answer. We're willing to help you as much as we can to get you any assistance you need at this point in time.
Any questions or about the process or the results? Yeah, Councilwoman White.
I wanted to thank staff too for their work on this, but I just wanted to give a quick update. We had talked about one of the difficulties being that some of the restrictions on CARES Act funding, people weren't eligible because we don't have a shut-off policy right now. And I was attending the West Central Initiative Economic Development Division meeting, and we were asked to share information about some of the challenges that we're having in terms of CARES Act funding. And we did talk about that you know, that is one of the difficulties that that restriction. And so, you know, not that anything changed as a result of it, but just getting the word out, and as others are perhaps able to advocate and we see some changes in terms of how these funds are applied, that maybe we could hopefully make a little progress in that area.
I would like to say that, yeah, we've noticed that too. When we did make our calls, we had a couple of the customers call back, and depending on which agency they were directed to, there was a little bit of inconsistency as to what they would accept. And so I actually reached out to the Minnesota Housing program leader for this program and just let her know that we had some concerns, and she was going to reiterate with the others that it's not necessary to actually have an actual disconnection to occur, but just past due balances, and they would be accepting of those and hopefully be able to cover those. They do only go back though to March 1st. So if you had a past due balance at the end of February, and then it has grown, they might not cover 100% of what's accumulated since then, but that they would at least go back to March 1st and pay for anything that accrued after that. So, and again, if we do hear, we'd like to know if customers are getting that feedback, and we can reach out to those agencies again and just make sure that they're consistent. I know that West Central has modified their request from us, and they're not looking for a disconnect date, but they're just looking at what was the last due date of the bill. and they're making some of their determinations off of that. So again, we put the cutoff notice on as a formality, but obviously we're not disconnecting at this time. It is just to help some of those agencies, if they don't contact us, at least it says something. So, thank you.
Yeah, and last week, Mayor Judd, Chair Thompson, Acting Manager Molly, and myself had another conversation as well with regards to the past due balances and our path forward with that. So we're still working through that, trying to understand how we handle that going into the future, going into the holiday season and further on into 2021. And we're still working through some of those. We've got some ideas that are tentative, but we're working on making sure our agreement is ready to go. So if they want to do an agreement or they can't get any assistance, they've got an agreement in place, or we have an agreement in place that'll allow them to do a payment plan and other items as well too. So we are still working on that. It's been a good process, good communication between city staff and MPS as well.
Right, the collaboration, I think, has really worked, has served us well so that everybody comes out as well as we can come out in this situation. And thank you so much for your staff's work, you and your staff's work on this, because it couldn't have been, it must have taken days.
It took us about 4 or 5 days to get through all the calls. I mean, they each do take a while, and for a while it gets frustrating when you get 2, 3, 4 in a row where the phone numbers are invalid, but then you'd get a bunch where they would work. And
Sure.
Did get some positive feedback from customers too. You know, they said, well, I heard about the program, but I didn't know enough about it. I appreciate you calling. It helps to get a little more personal information as to what is actually involved. And we did actually transfer some and hand them off right to the agency. Some of the customers, though, were working or on break or something, so they just said, give me the information and I'll look into it later. But
Great.
we did get some positive feedback, so that made it worthwhile.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
That is all I have for this evening.
Any questions for Mr. Schmidt? Okay, I need a motion to accept the general manager's report.
This is Commissioner Paulson. I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
Daley, second. You
Okay.
can have it, Sebastian, that's fine.
Okay, I have a motion. Okay, I have a motion by Paulson, seconded by McDougall to accept the general manager's report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you for the report, Mr. Schmidt.
Welcome.
Item number 9.
I'll speak to this one as well. This one's been a long time coming. With the Metro Flood Diversion Authority putting another diversion in West Fargo and Fargo. We have a transmission line that needs to be relocated because of that project. Staff has been working on this for several years, more in the last year than the previous years as well. But really what's happening on this one is we're having a memorandum of understanding for the relocation with the Metro Flood Diversion Authority. We've talked about this in the past. We are going to be going the route of the public-private partnership development. So basically, the diversion authority will do, and their contractors will do all the work. We'll get to review the plans, and what else am I missing here? We'll get to review the plans and make sure it meets our needs of the design, so that we're comfortable with the way things are going to be done. Still a lot of details to work out yet with the design itself, but the MOU is in pretty good shape. It is being contingent upon final legal review by Attorney John Bulger. John's been involved with this since the beginning, which was probably 3 years ago or so, when we started the process. There is a little bit of a cost to Moorhead Public Service on this. Because we have been upsizing our lines as we've been replacing them, there's a betterment clause within the agreement, and if we upsize the line, we have to pay for the betterment. They will only pay for what it currently is designed as. So if we want to upsize the size of the wire, that cost is on Moorhead Public Service, along with if the structures have to be larger because of the bigger wire. We've budgeted for $250,000 currently. We don't know what the full cost is going to be. That'll come more as we go through the design process and work through that. Other than that, if you have any questions, I will take them at this point.
Madam Chair, this is Paulson.
Go ahead.
I'm going to abstain from discussion and voting on this issue, given my position as the Executive Director for the Diversion Authority, so.
Okay, thank you.
Chris.
Madam Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's three matters that are under discussion. We're not sure how they'll be resolved because the design hasn't been completed yet, but I thought that the commission should be aware of that. One of them is that we would like to move the line to the south along 32nd Avenue. It would actually be a shorter run than the run that we currently occupy. So it should be somewhat of a cost savings over having to go a longer run. The second thing is that there's a farmstead that lies on the east side of the diversion channel, and we currently run on the north side of that property. We'd like to run it on the south side of the property right along 32nd Avenue. Again, the Diversion Authority has said they will work with us on that, but they can't guarantee the result. And the third thing is that we asked for to be supplied with a temporary, with a replacement support structure because for the crossing of the channel, it will be extremely high supports to get the wire high enough. And we don't normally carry a replacement pole for something that large. We don't have any need for it right now. So we said, because we wouldn't carry something like that normally, and we're having to put it up high because of what's happening with the diversion, we'd like that to be on the Diversion Authority to help us with that. And that's an open issue also.
Thank you, Mr. Bolger. Any questions for Mr. Bolger? Any other information to add to this item?
Yeah, just for a little bit of an understanding too, the diversion channel is about 1,600 feet in width, width. And our typical transmission structure to structure, the length between the two structures is about 300 if it's a single pole, and it's about 600 if it's a double pole or an H structure as we call it. So, spanning something that's almost 3 times as long is a little different or out of the norm for Moorhead Public Service. It's doable, but that's the current design. That we've been looking at is clearing it with one structure instead of multiple structures like we would typically do. Depending on how this design works, it might change the way it's set up. It might be a shorter distance between structures if we can have something within the channel. But again, that's a design criteria that we'll have to look at.
Any questions? If not, I'm ready for a motion.
So moved, Daley.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion by Daley, seconded by McDougall, to approve the memorandum of understanding regarding the Flood Diversion Authority's relocation of the transmission line. Further discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Durand,
Yes.
McDougall,
Yes.
Daley, Daley,
Yes.
Thompson, yes. Paulson,
Yeah, abstained.
yep, thank you. Okay, thank you very much for that. The approval has been passed. Moving down to item number 15, approve the concluding appointment of the Ad hoc Human Resources Committee. Want me to speak to that?
If I can or you can.
Go ahead, Travis.
Sure. So back on January 21, 2020, the commission appointed a ad hoc human resource committee to consider and work with the interim general manager along with the search for the new general manager. We also added additional tasks back in March as well due to COVID-19, and again, back in May, we did the similar thing, along with adding some, or opening up some titles that were noted as vacant indefinitely. We have completed the general manager search, as we're all aware, and at this point in time, consider concluding the current ad hoc HR committee's appointment. And then if there's any future needs of an of HR needs, that will work with those I will be discussing with those with the chairperson to make further appointments at a later date on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, I'd like to add that with the intent was always to sunset this. We're doing it a little ahead of schedule, which is great. And any questions? Okay, seeing none, I'd take a motion to approve this item.
Moves.
That was
Daley
Duran.
second.
Okay, motion by Duran, seconded by Daley to approve the concluding appointment of the Ad hoc Human Resources Committee. Discussion? Seeing none, I have to go roll call vote. So, Daley,
Yes.
McDougal,
Yes.
Duran,
Yes.
Paulson,
Yes.
Thompson, yes. Item passes. There's no executive session today, and meetings for December are December 1st if needed, and December 15th. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Paulson, so moved?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Paulson, seconded by Duran to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
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 Meeting's adjourned. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.